Take a look now at our question of the day, and this is what we're asking you about this morning. If you remember, we kind of spoke about this, touched on it last week. National Treasury has proposed a family grant that would replace the 350 Rand COVID Social Relief of Distress grant. Now, it would be paid to heads of households. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know at Morning Live SABC, because the developments on this are quite interesting. But I just, as I said last week,
how does it work?
I think this is something that really needs extensive discussion and input by South Africans. Whether that's going to happen, I'm not sure, because it would seem that the expectation is that there will be an announcement in the medium-term budget policy statement tomorrow by Minister Enoch Godongwana. So that's definitely one that I'm going to be listening out for, but so many variables bouncing around on this one.
I mean, it's a massive one, and just to perhaps just give a little bit more meat on it, saying that I'm taking this from an article where it's saying the implementation of this new grant is reported to be a point of contention between Godongwana and President Ramaphosa, as it would exclude most of those who currently qualify for the 350 Social Relief of Distress grant. This is, of course, the temporary provision that we all know about. I mean, people that are living in dire straits and unable to meet their family's basic needs. So, I mean, it looks like that at this point, we do know 9 million South Africans currently collect the grant, which the president recently extended until March. But this new family grant would significantly reduce the strain on the fiscus, and it would also risk alienating a large portion of those that are getting this grant now. And it's going to be a very, very, very different one. So we're still waiting to find out a little bit more about this. But apparently this is all being discussed. It has been discussed, as we spoke about last week. But it's a part of something called the Draft Anti-Poverty Strategy that was dated September the 2021.
But then you have to look at the stats from Stats SA for 2020 in terms of, you know, poverty lines, households that are food insecure, you know. I think you're talking about around 5.5 million households, whereas if you look at the stats with regard to unemployed people, you're looking more in the region of around 12 million people. So already there, you know, 6.5 million people as individuals who may be at the unemployment issue, they would obviously then be excluded from the house because you'll only be paying the head of the household. So it's an interesting one. I think
of a household. It's going to take a lot of
conversation. That's another conversation as well.
All right.
But interesting.
So looking forward to getting your views on this one. All right, let's quickly move into the trending topics now. And the talk of the town, well, I suppose it's no surprise that it's Eskom. Eskom is the top of the trend list. It has been for quite some time now. And, you know, just talking to where we're at right now. In fact, the top is, I mean, these are the ones in this order, Eskom, De Ruyter and Gwede. And these are what people are looking at. And of course, I mean, Eskom is just in, dare I say, an absolute and utter shambles right now.
Absolutely. A lot around that. De Ruyter, of course, having to come back from COP26 in Glasgow. Many people questioning why he went, given that we already had this precarious situation leading up to the election. But of course, you heard there in the news where he was saying, well, this is something that is there, is going to be there. So, you know, does this mean that he will never travel kind of thing? But many questions around what is currently happening at Eskom, what the intentions may be with Eskom, and of course also the whole energy mix, as it were, in terms of how do we get out of this mess.
Yeah, of course. And then, I mean, that was the talk of De Ruyter, and then Gwede also in there saying that, you know, big responsibility needs to land on the department as well, and, you know, is enough being done. But, I mean, you will hear this conversation carrying on for a while. Load shedding is with that too. Then Botswana. It seems like Botswana is trending for a lot of reasons, also particularly with the political unrest. That's also a big concern. But this one, I think, has got a lot of people talking, and that was where Botswana had moved to restrict business activities for foreigners. And basically the list that they're saying is that they're ring fencing business activities for locals. The protected list has 21 business crafts ranging from bread and confectionery to furniture. And they say that this is something that they want to do, and they want it to, be that the Botswanans are the ones that will be in charge of certain industries, and no foreign nationals are allowed to work in those industries, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, also coming to industries such as brick making, filling stations, all of those. And we touched on this again on Monday, I think it was, whereby this type of protection, ring fencing certain parts of the economy solely for South Africans is not, excuse me, it's something that was mooted, proposed by someone like Moeletsi Mbeki as well. I think at the time when we were talking about these xenophobic attacks, and he made that point that there are certain industries that you should, for all intents and purposes, secure for the benefit of locals.
Locals, yeah. And that seems to be a trend and something that is happening. All right, so that was the Botswana trend. And then I think, is there one more trend that we have got?
Do we have another
Warning
one?
about
quiet men.
I'm not sure. I've been reading some of these tweets that are coming through. I think it's more of a fun trend that is there, but it's very much so there. And just people talking about quiet men are actually talkative.
Why should we worry about quiet men?
I'm not sure, but they're saying quiet men are actually talkative around the right people. So, it's just all of these things talking about quiet men, and they're very hard to read, and this makes people uncomfortable. We're great observers and possess high intellect. We are deep thinkers and look at every situation with a calm, logical mind. I don't know. So everyone's talking about quiet men.
And as I open it, the picture of the Deputy President, David Mabuza, pops up.
Really?
And the King says, if quiet men was a person, David Mabuza would be.
Yeah. The put-up man for quiet men. Okay, so yeah, a warning of quiet men seems to be trending on social media.
I need to go read this.
I think so too. Let's take a break. When we return, Eskom again under the spotlight. I mean, I can't use the word spotlight and Eskom in the same sentence.
No,
right?
not quite.
Okay, Eskom under the blackout after this. Stay tuned. We'll see you now.